We are, so we're live now, and I just want to just get to a teaser. Hello, everybody. We're here for another episode of um, we are Black Independence. I got to get that right
I
because
was about to
people.
say, what is the ask? Because that's pretty much what we're talking about
That's,
tonight.
that's where we started
Yeah,
too. The ask, remember that, and we can talk
right.
about the origins of that maybe next week as we sort of look at the entire year. But before we begin tonight, I want to be very clear. This episode here is just going to be me and Mona talking with you guys, and it's going to start with a warning. This came to both of us this afternoon from a very dear friend, and it's not from us, but it's from Roland Martin. And you're going to hear him say plainly that, and it's a warning that I know that I've said plenty of times in 2026, it's going to be shaping up to not be business as usual for Black America. And I'm trying to be very calm with how I'm saying it because I want you to really hear it. It's not going to be business as usual for Black America. The focus isn't on you, but it is on you, and you don't even know that you are really the main focus for everything that's going on in America. So that's what's coming. It's not just going to be about the election in November, but about the Supreme Court decisions that are happening right now as we speak and how important they are, the policy rollbacks and coordinated efforts aimed at the infrastructure of Black America. So that video that we're going to play is our why, and because what comes next requires us to come together, and this is urgent. We have to come together urgently, intentionally, and without illusion. So, folks, I beg you to stay with us, and I'm going to start the countdown.
To the Black Independent, where we speak truth to power, unapologetically.
For too long, the Black vote has been treated like a given, but we're not property. We're not pawns. We are the descendants of those who built this nation. And now, we're demanding tangibles, not tokenism, because the era of blind loyalty is over. This is the Black Independent. Let's get to work.
Let's get to work. And, we're going to get right into the video, and then we will get started.
What's up, folks? So I'm about to get on this plane. So I want to wish everybody obviously happy holidays. But I woke up this morning really, really scared. Scared because, I think about my book, White Fear. I think about the speeches that I've given since 2009. Everything I predicted is happening. 2026 is going to be a year of reckoning for Black people. Let me say it again. 2026 is going to be a reckoning for Black people. Supreme Court, they're going to rule in favor of Louisiana in that Cali case. And as we talked about with Cliff Albright and Black Voters Matter, they're going to wipe out Black political power all across the South. I have no doubt they're going to do that. This has been the dream of the right. The election of Obama, y'all got to remember, was the first time in American history that black people outvoted white people. Let's say it again. By percentage, we outvoted white Americans for the first time ever. And that completely scared the hell out of these people. Everything that you see has been because of that. And I'm telling y'all been hearing me talk about 70%. No. Y'all, we gonna have to be voting 80, 90% of our capacity. I'm telling y'all, I hate to be right. But this is no time to play games. This is no time for folks to be bullshitting. This is no time for misinformation, disinformation. I'm telling y'all, beginning on January 1, 2026, we got to be locked in. Y'all, all year y'all been hearing me talk about it. They want to defund Black America. I'm telling you, they're coming after everything.
So, hey everybody, I'm Jeannette.
And I'm Mona.
And you just heard Roland Martin lay out a warning that a lot of people just don't want to hear. But we ignore it at our own risk. And before we close out the year, I feel a responsibility to help get that message out that 2026 is not going to be simple for Black America. And I'm not talking about everybody else. I'm talking about you, Black America.
Yeah, you and me. When I listened to that, so that was the first time I saw that particular one. But I have heard him say that. And I still just always go back because the urgency that he is feeling right now.
Yeah, you can feel it, right?
ADOS people, ADOS members were feeling it in 20, and they might have been feeling it before, but the first time I started becoming aware, 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people like him, people like Joy Reid and all of those people, when they had the ear of the Democratic Party, they was
Right.
not pushing it. They kept telling us, stop asking for things. Just shut up and vote blue.
Yeah.
And that shit ain't working out for nobody.
Not a soul.
Okay.
Not
and so now everyone is feeling the urgency and feeling the bleeding. When before it was just probably the poor, the working poor, and the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
But now that they're going after all the Black race as a whole,
Yeah.
they see we got to come together, 90% vote. When we did that under Bill Clinton,
Mm-hmm.
we did that under Obama,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't see any the people who just said, I don't care anymore.
Oh.
Because it wasn't benefiting, but he was benefiting. Middle class was benefiting. Certain people was benefiting.
Right.
I don't know how we're going to engage the people, but I do agree that we do have to do something. I do agree that it was urgent, as you know, that you and I and Albert and everybody on what was that, we was really, really pushing for Project 2025 and saying what this was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we saw the writing on the wall then, you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And it was maybe 14 months. We was pushing. We got to vote blue. We got to vote blue. And I'm against that, just voting blue down ballot. But
You
I
always
understood. I am very against that, and I
Right.
understood if we didn't, where we were going to be at. And I
We're
always
here.
try to play devil advocate. Those who believe in God, is it not what is supposed to be happening right now to wake us up? Not only us, but white America as well.
But it's about us asking ourselves just honestly, and I would ask anyone who's watching this to just sit back and ask yourselves: is Black America truly prepared right now, today, as we go into 2026? Are we prepared to move together when the pressure really increases? And the pressure, you may not be feeling it right now, but the Supreme Court and all of those folks, they are slowly eroding your rights.
Mhm.
And these are rights that our ancestors fought for.
Mhm.
Our ancestors, Black. Yes.
And who should we
everybody-
be mad at? Who should we be mad at? Because we knew, some of us saw the writing on the wall.
Yes.
Obama, a second
Mhm.
term, when he had the opportunity to nominate someone to the Supreme Court, and he let what was the guy named Mitch McConnell,
Oh, Mitch.
push it back, and because they were doing a little underhanded stuff. I don't know if they were doing underhanded stuff, but they thought that they had it in the bag that Hillary would win, she would be able to do it. But this is what happened when we play politics.
Mhm. Yeah, but playing
They
politics.
didn't want to put it on us. No, I'm not going to take that blame when he had the power. We don't know how to fight. Democrats, I'm talking about, don't know how to fight and push back. They have to take some of this blame. Roland have to take some of this blame. Still, the Black Caucus have to take some of this blame. Instead of putting that pressure and saying, "Hey, here's what we need to do right now. We don't give a damn about Hillary wanting to nominate Roosevelt replacement. Democratic
Yeah.
Party should have forced her to retire."
Yeah. There was a way, there's been a shift, a
Mhm.
clear shift after you've identified Obama came on the scene, and then all of a sudden, Tea Party, and then MAGA and what have you, they all woke up and began saying, "Oh no, the deal has been broken between rich white people and poor white people." Now all of a sudden, you're starting to see Black people rise, and they hit the magic spot.
Mhm.
Obama gets to the White House not once but twice, as you say.
Mhm.
Well, they felt that the contract was broken at that point, and they began asserting themselves within the Republican Party structure. And the old rules, even the ones Obama was following from the Democrats, all of a sudden, for the Republicans, were gone out the water. Nobody was waiting in line. All of a sudden, you saw Trump began to ascend and beat everybody. And
Yeah.
they didn't like him either, but he was beating everybody. So something was happening, not just in the Republican Party, but also with American politics in general, was on the precipice of totally caving.
Yeah.
And now that's where we are. So
Mhm.
even Obama, who got in there maybe with good intentions, but had to succumb to the rules, couldn't do all the things that maybe he wanted to do, right? Because white power on both sides, white power was still in control. They were in control. And Obama learned that real quick, that he could not be the president that we thought we put in office. We thought white people thought they put somebody in office but Black people definitely, we thought we had something, and we didn't. Yeah, I didn't go to DC. I wished I could have. You were in DC, and that was major. I still think about the people who were in the park crying as the Obamas came onto the stage that night.
Well, we was not crying, but we was definitely there. We was glad to be there. So it was my mother,
yeah,
and my mother, my mom, cousins, and they might have been a little teary eyed. But
come on, it was momentous.
But for the wrong reason, for symbolism.
But now, but we realize that.
Understand that then.
Yes, we didn't understand that then. We realize that now.
Yes.
Because the reaction from the far right has been tremendous. Mm-hmm. And it is exposing Trump, is exposing how badly and how horribly politics in America is. Yeah. We see it front and center, right?
But we didn't see that the second year. We didn't see that the second term when by the end of the first term, the Tea Party had already started establishing itself. And we should have seen the trend. We should have seen that trend that was developed. And we didn't have anything to combat that. Even like now, even with MAGA, we don't. Turning Point, we don't. We're just weak, I believe, as Democrats. And I hate to keep saying that.
The Republicans thought they did because they all of a sudden lost control of the party, and the establishment realized that they were no longer the ones in control, and that the Tea Party had morphed into MAGA, and Trump had figured out how to control the poor white folks over there. Mm-hmm. In the Republican Party. They no longer had control of those people. So they saw it before we saw it in the Democrat Party. We just came away from the Obama administration mad and pissed off, feeling like we had been ripped off. That's what we came away with, because he didn't do nothing. And the Republicans saw that too as an opportunity to get us even madder at the Democrats, because they understood that we did not understand what was truly happening to begin eroding America. And because the Heritage Foundation and all of those right-wing non-thinking tanks, you know what I mean? Or I won't say they're non-thinking, because they certainly are thinking.
They're thinking.
They're negative. They're thinking about how to destroy. And they've been doing that.
They're thinking about how to be dominant, how to have total control.
And they've been doing that for a very long time.
And they've been doing it for a very long time. And ever since Trump came on, it would be 10 years now that Trump has came on the political.
It'll be 10 years. But here's what they did, and they were so smart. So when they finally figured out, you know what, there's nothing we can do because Trump has stolen the secret sauce, which were the middle class, working poor, and the poor. Trump had full control of them. So they had to figure out how to recalibrate and use Trump, who had control of the people they had control of prior to that. They were smart enough to recalibrate and began focusing in on Trump, who now held the power, the base in that party. And I think those are the things that we in hindsight can look at, because the Democrats don't have, let me say this, a stupid base. And I hate to say it that way. Because we aren't going along based on skin color, right? This is where race comes in. We're not going along to someday, because of our skin color, you're going to choose me and I can be rich and famous just like you. We are actually motivated by something very different, which is harder for the Democrats to sort of control, because there's so many different factions. Republicans were homogenous, largely, one or two black folks, but you know how that's another story. And then you have the Democrats, who now had most of the Asians, most of the Blacks, most of the Hispanics, and so on and so forth. And I think those are the things that we as Black Americans need to go back and look at what happened and what do we do to course correct that. And Roland he's at the airport, so you guys excuse the sound quality, but his message was clear that they have studied us for the last 50 years.
They've always studied us, yes.
But they've closely studied us for the last 50 years to determine how it was that we were moving forward, advancing, and getting ahead. And they wrote into their policies, Project 2025, exactly the things to attack, not Black people per se, but exactly the systems to attack to bring us down. So they don't have to say we're going to deport all Black folks. They don't have to say that. Right. They just have to look at what were the levers in place that allowed for Black advancement to the extent that they have reached the White House, for crying out loud. And they have all these very intelligent Black women. And so what were the levers in place that they can now desecrate to cripple the Black community? And Roland said, y'all need to pay attention because 2026 is going to be that year. So he said something.
Who is Roland talking to? Because I think the majority of us know that.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
I'm going to believe that we do. We felt 2025.
No, we don't. But you know what? I got some comments here. Mr. Eshaw. Hey, ladies. Yep. Didn't he tell us that Biden was the nominee?
Yeah, he did.
And the DNC doesn't have a project 2025. We don't have a 2026. We don't have a 2027 or 2028. And that's the problem.
That's what I'm talking about. These people who want us to listen to them, who have led us to this cliff. We're almost about to fall over the cliffhanger. But hell, he the one got us here. So if he would, his voice and all of, maybe not Joy Reid, because, she has to do, she's reading a script that's put in front of her.
I know slavery is slavery is slavery. And I don't care if we're talking about 1860 or 2024, 25, that the white man has figured out how to enslave us through employment. And that's what happened to the Joy Reid, like it has happened to so many of us. One more comment before we go on. The majority, Shaw also says, the majority of us aren't mad about Obama tenure, but they should be. And the madness about Obama's tenure, I'm not sure we agree on why we should be mad, but it's not Obama we need to be mad about. It's the system that was in place. Trump blew it up. He blew it up because
Obama couldn't have done that. No, even if he didn't get a second term. What we're saying is we want someone to be in that bowl.
I was in corporate America. I know how to play the game. I know how to keep that 6-figure salary. I know what that means, that when the CEO says or does something totally asinine, how to do this and walk away and do this and whatever to keep that 6-figure salary. There's a lot
but you was responsible for you per se. He is responsible for all of us. It's too big. His position was too big to be just to get a second term.
Sorry, that is not who we put in place. Remember when
correct.
You're in the
correct. He was the wrong person. You're correct.
Okay,
but
so I'm not even going to go down that road.
America would accept.
They never would have let you put the right person in. That's the point of it.
They never put a Jesse Jackson in.
He's not the first Black person to run. That's exactly the point I'm making.
Yes, I agree.
Jackson would have, even Black people weren't going to vote for Jesse Jackson because they were looking for an Obama.
Yeah.
type.
Yeah.
We were
I
all
agree.
looking for an Obama type. So we as a nation, we as a Black people in a nation, were looking for something that was not realistic. What came along that was realistic was Donald John Trump. If you want true change that you can believe in, you needed somebody who was going to come and blow the system up. And that's exactly what they asked him to do. And that's exactly what he did.
Well,
You can't have a Black man do
well,
that.
we can have some they have all kind of debates on the other side. The Mago and the other right wingers are infighting as well, saying Trump has not done what he has not delivered what he said he was going to deliver to the degree that they wanted, because he too can only do so much.
Trump, and I'm not in the back rooms, I can only make assertions, but Trump is, and this isn't me saying it, this is what is said of him. He's a transactionalist. He deals in transactions, period.
He's making plenty of money.
Yeah.
He'll push whatever agenda that
I will do this, but this is what I want.
He's pushing whatever the millionaires want, but not what the people want. We're going to see how that's going to play out in 2028.
He's truly a capitalist. And remember, when we switched from Biden to Kamala, he was kind of weirded out a little bit because he wasn't sure what his strategy should be. But he went to the billionaires and said, you give me money, give me money, and I will give you whatever it is that you want. And that's exactly what is happening.
Right.
That's what happened. And that is what is happening. And here again, we have another comment from Mr. Shaw. 40% of Black Americans aren't six-figure salary people. That's very true. That's true. But even if I were $40,000 or $50,000 a year, I'm going to keep my job. I'm going to be quiet. I'm not going to say. So it's a matter of employment. And this is why you probably get admiration from me, Mona, that you don't even know you get. The fact that you never had to work for anybody except for yourself ever. And you've done extremely well. And the business was passed down generationally. That's the ultimate for Black folks. That's the ultimate freedom. But most of us don't have that. And
I do understand that.
I'm willing to walk away. And I've done that. You have to be willing to walk away because there are lines in the sand that you will not cross.
Yes.
And many people, and I appreciate that comment, but many people cannot or will not do that. And to me, that's modern day slavery.
And look, I definitely understand that, and I had to learn that. But when we have people like that who do have a voice, who do have a platform, maybe they should be quiet, stand the back, and go with the people who could push the agenda, the Black agenda, forward.
Okay, but who are those people?
I'm just saying that they could
even here locally. Give me somebody who can get out there and push the agenda forward.
Connie Burden, but they'll always get someone to counter her. Daryl, it's a lot of people, but they'll always get someone to counter her.
No, but give me some characteristics of these people that you say can be out front. And they've been out front for a while. Not so much Daryl, he's new, but he's right there on the front line. I appreciate that about him. But Connie's been out there for a very, very long time. There's probably not too many people, if anybody at all, that doesn't know who she is.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Well, then you got people who will come who's over different organizations.
Please.
Who will get back in, who will talk to them. I'm going to say that they will go along with the establishment. They're not pushing what is really correct.
Why is that? Come on. Why is that?
Money.
That's right. If
Man.
I need you dependent on me or beholden to me, I'm going to pay for $1,000, $2,000 table at your gala, or
Mhm.
I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to give you free space on my property, or whatever it is that I can help silence you, or I can
Mhm.
control what it is that you are going to fight against. And I think that's what we're not understanding
Mhm.
is most of us are not free,
Right.
and that's the issue.
Mhm.
That's the issue.
Yeah,
And
I
you and I,
agree, and it's frustrated. It is why we are paralyzed. It is why we really are, just standing still, and we don't see the progress. And
correct.
people get frustrated.
And they know that. They know this because it's all by design. They know
Mhm.
this. They
Yes,
know
yes,
they
and
know that we're not going to have a Trump in our midst. We're not going
right,
to have
right.
We're not going to have that because they have captured us all by virtue of our being so comfortable with our standard of living, and that we're not willing to forego that.
Sure. And I was thinking about moving forward. I think we talked about this last week. So we got a lot of seats that's open, right? And we got to
Yeah.
move in this community
Yep.
in a way where we are voting for someone who isn't afraid to stand up to power, to stand up for the people, and not continue to vote for names we recognize, our friends, or somebody the church might recommend, because these things haven't worked out for us. And we could just see that. I take a stance. I'll give you an example. The when they was when they did the second reading last week, when they were talking about the bicycle finding,
Right.
just about all of city council, with the exception, I believe, Lynn Hertech was the only one pushed back. Connie Burden was pushing back. It was a
Mhm.
few. Connie Burden, Stephanie Pointer,
Right.
and it could have been one or two more people. Only push back and say, no, wait a minute, this isn't going to work. This isn't fair. But most of the people in the audience was in alignment
That's the word.
with the guy who wanted to say, we have a problem, here's what we're going to do.
Hmm.
Without any data, without anything. And then we had the second reading. And then all these people came down in support of Connie Burton.
Hmm.
He had already laid it out and said, no, we shouldn't do this.
Hmm.
Now, we took a walk on
Hmm.
the river walk. I think it was Christmas night. It was
Hmm.
lit. And really, it was my first time I've seen the bicycles up and down there, but it was a couple of kids doing the wheelie. And I had already told my brother about what was going on. And I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, we see them coming. You just move over. If they was coming from behind us, they would say, excuse me. And look,
Hmm.
we was walking 3 by 3, which we should have probably been walking 2 by 2. As Connie said, we got to share the walkway. And I
Yeah.
believe that, because that is public space paid for by our tax dollars. And they should
Right.
be able, kids can do what kids do.
Yeah.
I really don't have a problem with it.
What with people doing the wheelies on
Yeah,
the
because I mean,
walkway?
it is not like they standing still, they're moving, you
Right.
know?
Right. Hmm.
But it was my first time seeing it. And I wasn't afraid.
Um, yeah, I have very little to comment on that because I just think that's one of those red herrings out there that we focus on that really isn't all that important.
Oh,
I
yes, it
now,
is. If they put that ordinance in place and they start fining and ticketing our kids and interaction.
that's you're missing. I may not have been clear on what I said. it's something to me that should never have even gotten to where it's gotten to.
Mm.
That's what I mean.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Correct.
That's what I mean. So
Mhm.
it's like, why are you even talking about that? But for the most part, you know, Roland pretty much is letting us know they're coming after our systems, right? Those things that really built us into a middle class and
Mhm.
allowed us to be educated in ways that we couldn't have, our ancestors couldn't dream of. They're coming after the nonprofits, and we just talked about that Black people, we have nonprofits coming out of the wazoo. I mean, we have nonprofits. Well, the right wing Heritage Foundation understands that we have a lot of nonprofits, and they're successful nonprofits in many cases. So they're going after the systems of nonprofits, and they are defunding a lot of the nonprofits. You're going to see that likely in 2026. They're coming after the civil rights structures, right?
Yeah.
Supreme
Yeah.
Court is really gutting
Yeah.
and
Reversing everything.
yeah,
Yes.
right. They're coming after the educational leadership. And they're coming after cultural recognition. You think you got Juneteenth and Martin Luther King Day, but those days are coming to an end very, very soon, you guys. All of it.
Did you so I wasn't aware that on Martin Luther King you could go to national parks for free and veteran days and all of that. And so Trump wants to, I don't know if he wants to or he's already have eliminated all of that stuff, and he wants a Trump Day and all of that. And yeah, it's look, all this stuff is very serious, and when people hear warnings, like this, we tend to personalize it.
Yeah.
Right? They think
Yep.
about personalities.
Yeah.
And we think about parties, but in the reality of it, I just believe, or I just keep coming back to think, what could the Democrat have done? How could they not see what was coming? That's because you and I saw, we knew what was going to happen if Trump won. We knew what was going to happen, and they knew what was going to happen. And I'm trying to say this, that they should have immediately said, the Democratic Party, that Biden could not run again, not get behind him. And they should have had an open primary, because you can't just nominate Harris. Because in my opinion, I only got behind her because that's who they nominated. It was too late. But hell, she couldn't win in 2016. She had 1% of the vote. So where we at, in my opinion, is because of the Democratic Party.
I don't have a comment on that one. It's like, I just think that I like to look at Black folks. I like to look at us, and I like to look at the advancement that we've had since the Civil War, and everything that we have had did not come from the Democrats or the Republicans necessarily. It came from us pushing whoever was in office to do right by us. And sometimes that took a lot of time and effort, and it took some deaths by all means. It took a skillful use of technology, whatever it was going on at the time. But we had smart people generationally who were able to navigate through. But it wasn't a dependence on whoever was in office. it was more of a dependence on us and our willingness to take the risk and the chance to move the change forward.
Sure.
And that's what I don't see. And I don't blame the Democrats and I don't blame the Republicans. I don't necessarily even blame us. But the only thing I will say to us is we are too comfortable, and we have gotten way too dependent on what they will give us. And that may come as salaries.
Mm-hmm.
That may also come as grants that will get to maybe help our community, but never enough to truly help our community. Mm-hmm. So that we are always at a disadvantage. But how do we outthink them to where we are winning again? Because I won't say that what's been done in the past has been for naught. They really did move those chains. But we have a responsibility to ourselves move it a lot further. And I don't know that we understand that. The Heritage Foundation and those that surround them understood that back in Plessy versus Ferguson. They got it. They understood it. Brown versus Topeka. They got it. They understood it. That something was happening where they felt that they were on the losing end. It has taken them 50, 60 years, but we are here now. And we sort of let them lull us to sleep with things like MLK Day and Black History Month and Juneteenth. We kind of felt like we won and that we had something when we really never had anything at all. And those of us who were able to get through and make $50,000, $70,000, six-figure salaries, what have you, we then became the gatekeepers, if you will, from any radical
telling us to hush, be quiet. Progress takes time.
Right.
My brother says that all the time. It just gets, and look, I have more years behind me than I have ahead of me, and I ain't got time. I think we're seeing and feeling things different. And we want to break away from that pattern of thinking.
Yeah, we do.
Particularly now that we could see that it could be done. But I could see the Democratic getting the power back and going back to the regular way of doing things.
And that's, again, that supports the thought that it's not about what the Democrats want or the Republicans. It's what we decide we want. And then we have to start pushing for that, because you are absolutely right. The Democrats could very well say, let's go back to where we were, which was not really acceptable for us. Exactly.
You people still wait on all of this stuff. We're going to do some research. We're going to do some studies. And like, no, we're not going to have that. And so now we must be intentional on who we vote for.
That's true. And I like what
we need to make it clear.
I like what
if you're not a fighter, you don't have a backbone, you can't have our vote.
Okay. Hang on to that thought, because that's going to be very clear. That's going to be very important as we move into 2026. We're looking for a very different type of politician.
Yes.
Because that seems to be where the movement is going, and not the comfortable politicians, but a very different type. So Shaw is just all on it tonight. So he's like, let's name the systems, then examine the who it's been tearing them down over the last 50 years. And you'll see that it wasn't, because he made the correction later, all on Trump. And he's absolutely right about that. One of the reasons too, I say, stop tearing down just the Republicans. Yeah, they are in your face about their racism, but you need to also look at what's going on in your own camp as well. And that's my thing too.
And the biggest thing we could look at is Clinton, on this prison system, the justice reform, and Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And we could just look at how things is operating here in Tampa, all under a democratic system. Is it working
Mm-hmm.
for the majority of East Tampa? I would say no.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely. You're
all under
absolutely,
Democrat. We have a
yeah,
Democrat mayor. We have a Democrat city council. All 7 of them, I believe, are Democrats. Maybe some
yeah.
might have reverted from Republic to Democrat, but the
Mm-hmm.
majority is Democrat.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me ask
Kevin,
you, let me ask you this.
okay.
I'm really not in East Tampa, or probably not on Martin Luther King in the evening, but ever since last Monday, I've driven Martin Luther King at night. And so my brother was in the car and we was
Mhm.
getting ready to pass the pond by across the street from Cyrus Green, you know, the pond over there where the Christmas tree is.
Yeah,
So I told him to look to the left because it was, I know last year when it was lit up, it was so pretty. And
right,
the lights wasn't on. And I was like, oh my, why aren't the lights on? This is the week before. I mean, it was 3 days before Christmas.
right.
And I called 2 people. No one answered the phone. This was Monday night, I believe. And one of the persons did call me back. Fran Tate did call me back because I said, well, maybe she might know because I thought it was the CRA. And she said, no, she didn't. It was, she believed it was Parks and Rec. And I did reach out to someone else. And then my brother tells me, even Christmas night, the lights wasn't on. Now,
Wow.
what's that about?
Somebody's
See,
asleep.
no, because they don't care. They
Y'all
don't
sleep.
respect. They don't respect us.
Y'all sleeping. You are
Yes,
sleeping.
I'm like, what the hell? Our children should see that. Hell, we should see that.
The
I want to
lights
show
represent
them something. I
the
want to show
lights
them something nice in our neighborhood.
the lights represent so much more than we even understand.
Yes,
But
so
Kevin,
it wasn't on all week.
yeah, Kevin says, back to normal seems to be all that Dems want to offer us.
Yeah.
That's not enough anymore. And it
Mhm.
never was. And I think that's where we're coming from, Kevin. We
And
have
that's
to
what we have
understand
to not be afraid to be able to sit where we at.
we have yeah, we have to understand that. We have to decide it is not enough, and they are not going to, we should not be counting on them to tell us what the next iteration of Black America needs to look like. We have to decide what that is and begin pushing for that. You had Frederick Douglass telling Lincoln, and here's what needs to happen for Black America in all of this, right?
Mhm.
He was
Mhm.
pushing for what Lincoln needed to do. He wasn't waiting for Lincoln to tell him. He was giving Lincoln solutions, and Lincoln, who did not agree that the Black man was equal to the white man, and felt, even after they won the war, that the Black man needed to leave the country, right? He did ask, and those preachers said, no, this is our country too, we want to stay, and they did stay. But we need to understand there was a push from the outside to get Lincoln to the decision that he made, to not only make freeing the slaves or emancipating the slaves a part of his military strategy, actually, against the South, but also to have them join the forces, right? And thank God for that. If you know the story, you know the story. You're going to say something,
But
because
some
that
would
was
say this conversation we're having, and I could think of 3 people off the top of my head, and I'm going to call their names: Rodney, Joseph, and Angela. Would say this is why Trump won, and this is not why Trump won.
because we're talking.
The conversation that we're having, not pushing maybe Blacks who are undecided or Blacks who decide to sit on the couch. It is not my job to push them to vote, irregardless. It will be like my yard man, right? So I had to change yard mans sometime this summer. Because I'm paying this guy for over, and I've had him for 4 or 5 years, right? But I noticed that he was slacking up. He wasn't giving me what I was paying for.
Right.
And so what, I'm going to just continue to pay him? Mm-mm.
Right.
So when I paid him the last month, I told him that was going to be my last time. I was going to go with something different because I want what I'm paying for, right?
To go with something different answer.
Yeah. And so it's the same thing with the Democratic Party. Not that I'm going to probably go with the Republicans, but
Right.
I never had a problem sitting it
But
out
you're not.
because
But think
when
about
someone
this. Go
say
ahead.
that, because
I was trying to build on what you just said, go with something different. And that doesn't mean you're going with the Republican Party. But what it means is you're not going with the Republican Party or the Democrats. You're going with yourself.
absolutely,
You are
absolutely,
going to advocate and
absolutely.
vote for yourself. And if that aligns with either of the two parties, good for them, right? If
And
that
my brother
aligns
has a
with the
fit,
party, good for you.
Jeanette, my brother has a fit when I say that. When I told him, I believe
Of
in
course.
2016, no, it could have been 2013, I voted
Mhm.
down ballot. I did not vote for the president
Yeah, I
because
hated that too when you did that.
I'm sorry, but I didn't want either one. And
I
I,
get it now, but I hated it
I'm
when you
not,
did it.
so I'm going to vote for the less of two evils. Mm-mm. I couldn't vote for either one.
Mhm.
And, he didn't like that one bit. He couldn't
Yeah.
understand. He couldn't understand that logic. So,
And it is one that says, I realize that it's kind of like, I don't eat pork, beef, chicken, any of that. I don't eat meat, but I do eat fish. But if I go out to dinner and at somebody's house and all they have is meat,
mhm,
I have one of two choices, and
mhm,
and let's say that there would be nothing to eat for the next week. I would have to eat. I
mhm,
could either eat the meat, which I haven't had in like 20 some years, or I could just go without and wait to go and maybe get something else or hope for something else. I could it's you have to make a choice or a decision
mhm,
about what's important to you. And
mhm,
the reason that I don't eat meat is really for health reasons.
mhm,
Nothing other than, saving the animals or whatever else. I just feel better when I don't. You have to figure out how to make the choice for you and your life. And in our case, our people, right?
mhm, mhm.
And I don't think people really understand that you don't have to go with the lesser of two evils.
Sure.
I do
Because
not have
guess what?
the
I
meat
was
if I
able
know
to
it's
sleep.
going to make me sick, right?
Right, right. Because I was going to say I was able to sleep at night. I know when I do something that I don't totally agree with, I am wrestling with that all the time. And that was when,
It is
oh,
a
I know
wrestle.
what. It's a wrestle. So that was when Biden won. And I was like, I just can't vote for him because of that crime bill. And then what, he get in office and don't do what he said he was going to do? I would have felt like an idiot. I would have been kicking myself in the ass every night. So
I would like for Black people to make the hard choice, begin making the hard choice. I do agree with you, Jeanette. Whoop, whoop. All right, Kevin, very good. I'm I'm reading the comments, and y'all know I tend not to read. Good evening from Brandon, Florida. Go Brandon. Nice. Yeah, I think this is about infrastructure, and you're right in terms of it's not about personalities and whatever else. It's not about Obama. It's not about Kamala. It's not about Trump. It's not about any of those things. It's about the infrastructure. And if Black folks can say, okay, let's look at the infrastructure. Let's look at what's being taken away, right? What's being taken away.
mhm,
what protects us when laws change? We need to understand that. What then protects us as the laws, the very laws that our ancestors fought for, what will protect us then? What sustains us when the funding dries up? Because the funding, it has already started drying up for a whole lot of nonprofits, right?
Mhm.
And then what holds us together when our courts move against us? And we already seeing that happening. The Cali versus Louisiana in their gerrymandering case against the Supreme Court. Roland just mentioned the Supreme Court is likely going to go with the state of Louisiana and allow them to gerrymander, which means bad news for Black folks, right? So
Yeah.
those are the questions we should be getting answers to now, right now.
And do you hear, like you're here, Roland, but do we hear our Black caucus? Do we hear our Black leaders in
What are they talking
Tallahassee? I
Yeah.
do. Well, the NAACP, our local NAACP president, Yvette Lewis, they are going to be having a meeting, and I can't remember the date, about the redistricting, and we must be a part of that.
You know what?
They're doing it everywhere.
You know how I always say to you after the fact, it's like, dang, you went to that? I didn't even know about that. Or I forgot about that. Can you like send me a text to say,
Yes,
Jeanette,
yes, and I'm going to make sure we're
I'm
posting
sure
it.
people wonder, like, she does all that talking and she never shows up at any of the meetings. Well, I'm coming to that, but Mona,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to remind me.
Yeah, I will repost it, and I'll get the let me write that down. I get the exact date and time. Do you get the NAACP emails?
No,
Okay,
I
well
do.
then you need to make sure they have your email address.
They used to. They must have purged. You know how
What?
they purge people who are not active. I don't know that they do
you're not.
that. I would understand it if they did.
Okay, no, you have to be a paying member.
All right, I'm gonna have to pay then. All right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You need to be.
I used to be. I used to be,
Join
but
the NAACP. We need everyone to
I
join
know
the
not everybody
NAACP.
believes in the NAACP as a real functioning body, but I said that, y'all don't beat me up, but
No,
I
it
will
is.
be a member and I will definitely
I want to interview them and let the people, because you hear all this chattering. What are they doing? And actually, they're doing quite a bit of stuff.
mhm.
Yeah. So maybe sometime the first of the year we could interview them and different. About what they do with the
I do.
kids
Yep,
and all
I
of
do.
that, and they do an excellent job.
Yeah,
And
that's the most I've been involved is through AXO whenever I help with kids. Actually, Shaw wants you to post the NAAC, and I think it's the NAACP information in the ADOS Florida chapter thread, Mona.
okay,
It's
tell them I
direct.
will.
Yeah,
Because
so
we definitely. I think it's less than $50. I think it's 35. I'm not quite sure. I'm a life member, but
yeah, it's pretty nominal. It's not a big deal.
and we need to be a registered NAACP member. Yes.
In 2026, what could be big news is in the city of Tampa, county of Hillsborough, that the NAACP sees a massive surge in membership.
Yes.
That would be news. That would be
And look,
news.
also, ADOS, we have a chapter now.
Okay,
A
so
local
let's talk
chapter.
about that because
we need-
memberships are important. Go ahead.
Yes, and we need to interview them as well. And we need to grow because, look, we're into Kwanzaa right now, right? And these 7 principles of Kwanzaa, we're going to be needing to implement these coming forward in 2026.
Okay, so as I mentioned a while ago when we had Dr. Kamitra Edwards on to talk to us about Kwanzaa. I said that I would, for the first time this year, celebrate. And then I didn't go anywhere to do it. And then I had to pull Miss Patterson and say, we're doing Kwanzaa every night. And it may be a little like not overly formal, but we are definitely learning about the 7 principles. And
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be as you're starting off, but I love your videos that you've been doing.
whoop, whoop.
And Dr. Kamitra Edwards loved our gift. We gifted her a
That's so cool.
yeah, a mug. And if you want one, how can they get one, Jeannette?
Actually, they can go on to We Are Black Independent Facebook page, and at the top, you're going to see some products. One of them is the mug. We also have some guests that come on the show that we gift a mug in our pure appreciation for them taking the time out to be guests. So, Rodney, if you're watching, yes, there's a mug with your name on it. Others have gotten their mugs, and I'm just so glad we were able to give it to Kamitra because she's been on, or Dr. Edwards, she's been on twice, 3 times. I don't know. She's becoming a regular. I think
she's going to be a regular. She'll be our go-to.
Yeah.
Expert.
But you know what? We need to get from that stage of listening and get into building. And
yes.
We talk about colonization a lot, but I don't know that we really understand what happened and why colonization was bad for Black folks. And while we did not have a colonization of our land like they did in Africa, Nigeria is Nigeria, that because of colonization, and a lot of those countries were colonized by the West, if you will, countries in the West, France in particular. But Black folks, Black Americans were colonized, and it's a mental colonization. And I think that's what we're fighting against. Our minds have been colonized by white America in such a way that it makes it hard for us to free ourselves, really free ourselves. Do you know what I'm saying when I say that? Because I really want to try to be clear that colonization didn't just happen by the West going to Africa and stealing their resources and their land, or the colonies that were built here, the 13 colonies from the beginning where they stole the land from the indigenous people. But colonization of the mind gets missed. And I think that's what Black people in America suffer from.
Well, I agree. To a certain degree. I would talk about from the time I really was coming of age in the mid 70s and the 80s, and we had Black Power, Black Love. We was all engaged. But some kind of way, it didn't work out. And I believe some people are disengaged, and it's just easier to go along to get along. And it goes back to earlier what we're saying, when everything that we were fighting for, and once we got it, then I don't know if we got afraid or we was unwilling to give up what we had start receiving. And didn't, in my opinion, didn't realize that we were doing better when we probably was, and I don't want to say better, but we was doing okay when we were segregated. Many, I would say many the ADOS people understand that what we've been doing just isn't working. So
it's not working.
We gotta figure out a different outcome, and we'll hear people say, "Oh, only if Black people could free their minds," and I hear mostly Black preachers say that. Well, the first thing y'all gonna have to do is give up this white Jesus that you're preaching to the people.
I knew you were going to go there. I just knew
But
it.
I hear that from these people, but they'll tell the congregation and the people, you're still your minds are still shackled.
Yeah.
Your minds are.
Yeah, the extent of the colonization is one that reaches well into every aspect of our lives. And we just have to be willing to walk away from it cold
Yeah.
turkey. It's going to be difficult because
If
our
we
lives
won't,
are entwined in whiteness.
yeah,
It's entwined in whiteness. And any movement away from it um, gets met even from our own people with
absolutely.
they get mad if we
Yeah.
are go against. Shah says, I would ask you ladies to do some research regarding Kwanzaa, how and who, why it started as a counter op against the Black Panthers. And I think that's a really good point. We did do a show on that maybe a month and a half ago, maybe, with Dr. Kamitra Edwards came on and gave a lot of that history. So you might go back, and I guess we would have to let you know where about a month and a half ago in one of our episodes.
Asymmetry in favor of Kwanzaa. Now, listen, we know why a lot of stuff starts and why people pair off, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I agree with the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, and it do align with what we're dealing with here in America.
Mm-hmm.
And those are principles that we definitely live by. Those are principles that I believe is the same thing with the 7 principles of Maya. If we move different than what the Europeans told us to do and trying to live that life, I believe
I moved different. Look, my Move Different shirt tonight.
I'm sorry.
I said I'm wearing my Move Different shirt. I'm sorry I keep interrupting you. You're like, what?
No, yes, and that's what we got to move different. If we want different outcomes, if we're doing the research and we're looking back over the past, we have to realize that we have to do something different.
Yeah, we do. I was, for most of my life, I was satisfied living what I consider a very white existence. You know, I was an Army brat as a child.
And most people are.
Yeah. We are definitely
we want to, well, everybody wants to live the American dream.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to live the American dream, and the American dream is the white dream. It is not our dream.
That's true. That's true. So sometimes I even have to say, you know what, I'm answering you through my white frame of reference. Let me change that and give it to you from my Black frame of reference. But that's an effort that I have to make. So the indoctrination of being an American, I won't say white American, because American by default is white. So whenever they talk about you, they say Black American or Asian American or Hispanic American. But when we talk about white America, we just say Americans. So to be American was seen as success, right? And that is the white picket fence, the 2.5 children, and so on and so forth, the corporate job. And I remember saying, you know what, when I finish college, I'm going to go and get that corner office and blah, 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 blah. Well, I got to do that. Mm-hmm. Not happy at all.
And I was going to say, was you happy?
No. In fact, I remember asking my boyfriend one time, we were traveling, and I looked and I said, are we happy? I just had to ask. It's like, are we happy? And it was.
You wasn't sure.
I wasn't sure. We were driving expensive cars, the whole 9 yards. And I was like, I don't really feel like this is it, that this is weird, really. And the stress that goes along with it and all the travel that I was having to do. So we just really have to, as you stated, there are principles that we ourselves came up with in many cases that we could follow. We could decide what that is, because I think white America decided what success was, and that we had to jump on board with that. But we could actually decide what Black success looks like, feels like, and the principles that we follow.
And
So
the second
me
day
and
of Kwanzaa is self-determination. We have to decide.
right. So the
you know what?
whole, yes,
I could thank my mom for that, for me. Now I'm not quite sure for my sister, but my brother, he and I really never worked for anybody but ourselves. I have been happy since I could almost say my whole life.
yeah,
My whole life. I've been happy getting up, going to work, and I couldn't imagine getting up, going on a job that has your stomach in knots and you don't want to be there, but you have to be there.
people do that all the time.
I know. My customers, I mean, they come in and they just so stressed, and then by halfway in, maybe 15, and they're trying to do 20, 25 years before they retire, they just settle. So they're just on auto.
Yeah,
They just don't care anymore because they're just trying to get to retirement.
yeah, because there's a path.
Yes.
There's a pathway from cradle to grave that we all bought into, that we need to follow. Let me read this comment, because there's a little disagreement between me and Shaw. I think we need to hold true to the path that was already cleared, and I'm not sure what that path is. We don't have to move different. We have to get back on track. What do you think about that comment?
If he's talking about if we have to get back on path,
On what track?
On track before we got the civil rights passed, then I say yes, we do, because we did lose track. If that's the directions he's going in.
Right, and I would have to get clarity on that in terms of what get back on track is. Yeah, I would have to really understand what that.
Fighting for all of us, pushing, having an agenda, because we had an agenda that we was fighting for. But when you do the research, even when we used to talk to my mom, she was not involved in the civil rights. She just used to watch it on TV. Her father was, her mother was, but she wasn't.
Yeah, my mom wasn't either. She was just a housewife.
I would say probably about 60, 70, 80% of Black America wasn't.
Yeah.
And it's always that, because even like now when we have
that's an important point you just made.
Until people die, or till people get killed, because I don't like to say Martin Luther King died. Martin Luther King got killed. He didn't die.
He was assassinated. That's true.
He was assassinated. And then, even when we look at Farrakhan, if we even would have looked at drawing a blank here, the guy from the Bahamas.
Garvey? No,
not Garvey. Marcus Garvey. Yeah, Marcus Garvey.
Okay.
If we would have really, we could almost be our worst enemy sometime too. Because if we would have kind of followed these people other than the preachers, where do you think we might have been?
Pretty different, but we bought into the system of whiteness, and whiteness was very good at telling us that those people were bad, and we agreed with that. We agreed with that largely because we wanted the American dream. We wanted that, right? So that's a hard one to answer in terms of where we would be, because white America has been very good at killing, demonizing, assassinating, whatever, anyone who deterred away from whiteness and the American dream and the social order or the race hierarchy. If you were going to wake people up, this is why woke became such a bad word in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
If people were going to wake to what really is going on, that would be bad for them, right? And so they had to figure out, especially with the internet being with the access to information that the way we are, they're having to psychologically and culturally make words that mean good things be bad things, become bad things. So anyway,
And look, it's nothing wrong with us wanting the American dream. And our American dream is a simple choice: dignity,
yeah,
dependence, independence, justice, freedom. What's wrong with that?
it depends on your perspective. White America,
And
elites,
we don't have that. No matter what we say, we don't have that.
mhm.
And
We
so
do
we're
not.
living a lie.
Ooh, that's
We're
really
living a lie, and even the people who was okay, who was comfortable, white America's living a lie too. But we're only focusing on Black America, but Black Americans who was okay and is okay with living this lie, we're all about to find out next year.
okay. You're right. We're all living a lie.
Mhm.
Black America, we probably have we're the ones that really do know the truth, but have decided to live the lie so that we can survive from one day to the next. White America is totally living the lie. There's so much that they don't know. It's pretty amazing. And by the way, a real quick quote correction. Shaw says Garvey, not Bahama, but Jamaica.
Jamaica, yes. Thank you.
And we want.
But you just couldn't support his ideal, and we should have been able to support his idea.
Yeah.
I think it was a great idea, but the preachers weren't having it.
Yeah. He also makes a point. We want, as Dr. King said, what America promised. We wanted to be treated as Americans, not white Americans.
Right.
Huh.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't think that was going to happen. I mean, my upbringing was totally white America. It was totally white America. I just remember being the only Black child in a all white classroom overseas, reciting the Pledge of Allegiance and singing patriotic songs, and all of those things were so white. Everything about my existence for those years. And then we would leave, because we would live on base. Then we would leave, and my dad would go to like Vietnam or wherever. And so we would come back, and I would be living in Progress Village.
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, where are all these Black children come from? It was just really, it was just twice. I lived in North Carolina on base, came back, went to Progress Village School, elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went away, we went overseas, then came back, went back to Progress Village Elementary School. And I tell you, that was a culture shock every single time.
And see, my life experience was totally the opposite. Everything around me was Black.
Not
Everything.
me.
Everything.
Yeah.
First time I really had any encounters with white people probably was in 9th grade.
Yeah. That was my mom. My mom said,
like going to the grocery store where we live. I guess we might have seen white people, might have worked. I don't even recall, but
oh my God.
mostly Black everything.
Yeah, my first grade teacher, Miss Kuntz, was a little old white lady. It was like she was my first teacher.
And you know what? Now we did have teachers, but we went to St. Peter Claver because the nuns, some of the nuns was white, and I'm sure we had. But when I think about it, it's just that the whole classroom was black, and Miss Ford. You know Miss Ford?
FORT or FORD?
FORT, Yvonne
Yeah,
Ford. Yeah.
yeah.
So she was our second grade teacher, so that's everybody knows her.
Oh, yeah, and I know her and Clarence very
And
well.
Clarence, yes, and Miss Bell and all of them. See, we just had all black people.
Yeah, that was just amazing to me. Miss Dunham was my sixth grade teacher, black. When we came back from the service, I really liked her. Then I had Miss Green, also black, as my third grade teacher. But those were the years.
Did y'all go
Second,
to a black? Did you go
huh?
to a black church?
I did not grow up in the church per se. My mother told us she would make us go to church on Easter Sunday, buy us a little black and white
You were
shoes.
those kids that the normal people didn't like. Oh my God, we got to make room for them. So you didn't go to church on base?
We didn't,
Y'all didn't go to
we
church
didn't
on
go to church till I was maybe after I graduated from college or something like that. My mom said, you make the choice, whatever you decide.
No, I like that.
Well, she did. And then when I was in Germany, we met some Seventh-day Adventists, and I ventured with that for about a year or so. Came back to the United States. I decided I wanted to be a cheerleader, and the games were on Friday nights. And I was like, Mom, I'm not doing that anymore.
Uh-huh.
But my mom told us she would let us make the decision in terms of what we wanted to do. She didn't bar anything. When I decided to be 70,
look how woke your mama was in the 70s. You know, black kids had to be brought up in the church.
Yeah, we weren't brought up in the church.
Oh,
and
wow.
We never said yes, ma'am, no, yes, sir, no, sir. We never said that either. We would come home to visit my grandmother and my cousins and whatever, and they would be yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and we would be like yes, no.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you, very white existence is what happened to us. But
and you notice, let me tell you a little story. Remember when my daughter was in elementary school, and I kind of noticed that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That white people don't say miss and stuff like that, Mr. and all of that.
Yeah.
And I noticed that I only noticed that when my daughter went to school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the black culture, you have to say miss and Mr., thank you and all that politeness. And because my daughter,
whites are also polite, they just didn't put the man.
Right, they're polite, but they're not overly. And I noticed that. And so I remember telling my daughter, I don't know if she was in second or third grade, like when you're in school, you don't have to say this or that and be like you have to be. I kind of taught her how to code switch because I noticed these other kids did not. And I didn't want her to be up here like a little, whoever. But once she gets around my mother and go to my mother church, and if she didn't respond to someone a certain way, then they would think she wasn't raised correctly. And my mother wasn't going to have it. So I kind of had to teach her how to, relax and code switch.
Yeah, I totally get that because I started noticing that even when I was young. Mm-hmm. It was like my cousin keeps saying yes, ma'am, and I would just answer yes.
Uh-huh.
And my aunts and all of them, they just figured it was because we were somewhere else.
But you couldn't have did that in my family because my aunties would we had to say yes, ma'am, no, sir.
And none of us ever said that.
Yeah.
Growing up. And I noticed that when I started working with kids, Black children, they would say that, and I'd be like, I'm not your ma'am, but okay, I get it. I got it.
Yeah.
But that is something to this very day I don't do.
Right.
Even with people older than me, and I'm pretty darn old, but even with people older than me. But I want to get to this point here. Something that gets overlooked if we go like right into segment 4. Despite everything, enslavement, exclusion, sabotage, Black Americans, we really have become a global force. And I don't know if we as a group understand the kind of influence that we have around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that happened by accident. It happened because our people, we build even under the harshest conditions imaginable. We create language, right? We had to create a language even in this environment. We create music, we create innovation, and we create resistance. We are good at all of those things. But I don't know that. So I feel like we're already equipped with a lot of what it is that we need.
Mm-hmm.
But coming together seems to be that thing that we don't do so well.
And listening to what you just said, so I would think the first thing would be we need reparation, we need money, we need power inside of our structure, right?
Because the only way we're going to move forward really is in that. Let me before we. I agree that there are two Americas, but we know. Let me see if I can read this. But we know we are Americans. After 1966, Pan-African influence has convinced some we are Africans trapped in America, which is counter to what our ancestors fought for. It's he kind of does two things, but as Black Americans, and there's a lot of thought in terms of our actual connection to Africa. And I kind of vacillate a little bit on African American versus Black American, and in this new iteration of America, how does Black America connect to Africa? And
probably only through our DNA, I would say, right? Because listen,
I'm not sure I would say that though. Go
well,
ahead.
it probably would be any different than our family. We do a family reunion every year on my dad's side, and so they
Mhm.
just did our tree. So they could count by 9 generations, right? So I think it was 18 something. I have it downstairs. And
9 generations
but
that take you what, back to the motherland?
the first person that came here,
Okay, so that may be 6 or 7. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know, yeah, something like that. And
Mhm.
and so now I would say probably, what would you say, 2 or 3 generations later, that what connections do they have to Africa? And
Well,
certainly,
the way that and I've been thinking about this for a while, and I don't think I've really landed yet on where I stand. I believe I have a connection to Africa. I don't have the continent. I do not have a connection to any country because at the time my ancestors left, because I can trace myself back to 1838, my uncle, not uncle, my grandfather. I can't trace beyond that. Might be records were destroyed or given that women were breeders. And so you can just not tell. And there are all kinds of people through the ancestors.com that contact me as potentially related to me, but I understand that Black women were breeders and that we're never really going to get a clear understanding beyond a certain time of where we came from. So I connect to the continent. So I don't mind being called African American because I can't give you any more detail other than the continent. And my DNA tells me it's Western and whatever else, which stands to reason. So I don't have a problem with that kind of relationship or connection. Others do fight that we don't have any connection, whatever else. Yes, we do. Why are you fighting that? Yes, we do. I can't give you any specifics, but I can definitely maybe tie myself to a tribe or here and there bases my DNA. But again, the breeding system in America confuses all of that. But what I can say is I come from Africa, the continent, right? So
well, we originated. We certainly, everybody originated.
Yeah, I can't be any more specific than that.
Yes.
But in my opinion, ignoring that connection doesn't make sense.
I agree. I agree. We all originated. And hey, I've started and I want to know all about it is how we end up going to Egypt, finding out who I am, why I think and believe the way I think and believe. So I do want to embrace it, but it's why I wear the ankh. It's why if we understood us, I think we can move better as a people versus me wearing a cross.
Yeah, I think that's very true. But I do want to show one more video that kind of gets to what we're talking about. And Charlie, and this guy right here, he's Muslim and he really speaks a very strong truth. And
more held back, more deprived, more sabotaged than African Americans. You took everything away from them and took them away from everything. They started in your country at less than zero, literally regarded and treated as subhuman, not allowed to learn to read or write or anything for hundreds of years. But you see, they come from a people of accomplishment to one degree or another, not a people of piracy and theft and appropriation. They come from a people who created and built and developed in their own land. And even though you did everything that you could possibly do to suppress them, to hold them down, to hold them back, and you're still doing that until today, nevertheless, I don't think anyone can dispute the fact that African Americans have become a global cultural superpower. Sure. Culturally, they're a superpower. Whatever cultural soft power that America has in the global South, it's African American. I don't know if you can think of a people who were more held back, more deprived, more sabotaged than African Americans. You took everything away from them and took them away from everything. They started in your country.
Yeah, I think that started over. But I think that gets to the point that we're trying to make in terms of who we are. And we need to get clear on that before we get into 2026. We need to get clear on that. And that's different than, go ahead.
If we as a people could understand that and really believe it, because they understand it. That's why they have to keep coming up with what they come up to counter everything that we do. They understand that. And if we could just realize because I often think about it myself, what other group could have gone through what we have gone through for as long as we went through it and still survive?
Yeah, but I think that
we not only surviving, we're thriving in some ways.
And be thriving. I think it's because of who we were before we got here.
Absolutely. It's in our DNA. It is
and
who we are.
why we're here, we got here was because they knew who we were and that we had built, our ancestors had built civilizations before. So they brought us here because they knew we had the understanding of the land and crops and plants and how to do something that they did not know how to do. So they were very strategic. But once they got us here, they made sure that we did not continue in our language. They made sure that we mixed with other tribes so that we could not communicate. And they eventually made it so that we did not learn to read or any of that. So they had to break us down on those things that made us naturally smarter, and only cultivate those skills that they felt were useful for them. And it was like a charm. It really did.
Every time I see them using our slang, our music, our dance, our culture, who hate us so much, then why are you trying to copy us? Every time I see a white woman who get lip injection, a butt injection, is just, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
They want to be us.
Yeah. Mr. Shaw, that is not AI. He thinks Bolson is AI. Sahid Bolson.
I don't think so.
Oh, it's not even, I don't think so. There are so many videos on him, and folks use him a lot. It is not AI. So look up Sahid, Shahid Bolson, and you're going to find so much of his work that you'll be pretty amazed at what this guy talks about. But he's a Muslim.
I follow him, and
Laugh out loud.
actually I saw one today about Charlie Kirk, and
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, very good.
Yeah, I do understand the whole AI thing, because sometimes when I listen to some economists and whatever else, they are definitely using AI to convey the message, and then I just shut it off. Yeah, what you're saying may be true. Maybe you did that, but I would prefer a little bit more personality in what it is that you're saying. And you can kind of tell the AI, this guy, though, is not using AI, but his affect is usually the same.
And he's been speaking way before really AI became really, really popular.
Yeah, he's been popular for a while. So despite everything that was done to Black Americans, we didn't disappear. And I think that's the point that he makes. We became a global cultural superpower, and you see that in little Asian boys and girls in their own country doing hip hop. And that to me is always kind of funny to watch. But the influence of Black America, African Americans, is just that great in soft power around the world. And
so even not just even Black culture in Africa, in the Caribbean, no matter what, I think it all originates from us here.
So I think the key is we need to recognize who we are. Who are we? And we need to understand, and I saw another podcaster today, a young man, African American, talking to a Black immigrant, and pretty much saying that he was boasting about he came and how successful he is. And I guess it had to be Black immigrant versus African American. And the young brother said, the difference between me and you is that we stayed here, and through all that we had to go through, We stayed here and fought for our country, for our rights, for our people. You left. You left and you came here.
He left his country.
He left his country, Nigeria, and he came here. And he would, and he said, "I wouldn't go back because of it's a mess." He wouldn't go back. He couldn't live the kind of life. And the young man said, "And that's the difference between you and us." And I thought that was so significant, that we need to understand that we are up for yet another fight, and it's coming on to our doorsteps pretty soon. The issue is there's another group of Black Americans here who don't have the same experiences that we have in terms of a fight for rights. They tend to leave. They left and they came here to take advantage of whatever it is that we fought for. But we need to now get aligned for the next fight, right? With Black immigrants and African Americans are going to have to come together, and Black immigrants are going to have to listen to African Americans as to what needs to happen next. And we've already had the experience with the Somalians.
Yes.
In the last election.
I believe that they will align. They come into America and assimilate with white America, because that is the picture, and they want to live that idea. They want to live the dream. I can understand that.
Right.
But what is going to happen is not going to affect just us. It's going to affect them. And like you said, they see it with the Somalis. They want them gone. They want the Nigerians gone, the Haitians, Jamaicans, whatever. So I think just by default that they will be on our side. We will be fighting this together, because they're going to realize they need us. We might realize we're stronger together.
I know, but we need to do that real fast.
We got to do it real fast. And I think
last
a little bit movement might be happening, because they realize, I do see some on YouTube saying that, hey, we made a mistake, we're sorry. Now, we don't know how sorry they are, how much they really believe it, but they do realize they're going to need us to stand up for them.
I hope so, because January is in a couple days. We need to be so there's a danger that we're facing now, and I'm just going to kind of rush us through because we are at the 42 mark. So while people are being harmed, detained, and erased, we're being flooded with a whole lot of distraction. And we need to be aware of that as we go into 2026. There's a lot of distractions to take us away from us and the issues that are most important to us. It's a manufactured outrage, endless commentary, and characters instead of consequences. And we're also seeing the whole Epstein thing. What does that have to do with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're losing rights, but we're focused on Epstein. Should we be?
Well, can we do both? Because
well, we're not doing both. That's the problem. We're not doing both.
Yeah, true. What I see right now that's happening, that we plainly see now. We always knew this, but these people, and what we're seeing is the people who we're supposed to be looking up to, who are supposed to be setting examples, are not hitting the mark, failing at it, and then you want to hold me to a higher standard. I gotta follow the laws. I gotta follow the rules. Something isn't right. This whole system is gonna break down.
I think the system is breaking down. The key is, as the systems break down, what are we going to do? What are we going to do so that on the other side of the system, we are, and I'm going to add this to the stage, on the other side of this system, and if there is to be a new America, whatever that looks like, where will Black people be? We know that 400 years ago, we were at the bottom of the race hierarchy. We were at the bottom. It was called slavery. 2025, I did this chart, and guess what? We're at the bottom. We're still at the bottom of the race hierarchy. Ask anybody on the street who's at the top, who's at the bottom. They will tell you, even Black immigrants, I surmise, even Black immigrants are ahead of Black Americans, because in the job situation, you versus the African, same qualifications, they're probably going to choose the African because they don't come with the baggage that you do. So I'm saying that we have to figure out our own narratives and decide what our own future is going to be. And if we don't, Democrats, the Republicans have already told you what's going to happen with you as far as they're concerned. They're going to strip you of all your rights and whatever else, and you will have none. You will have no jobs. You will have no special programs, no nonprofits. Everything's gone. But with the Democrats, they want to take you back to where we were. But what do you want, Black folks? What do you want? Because where we were, if you saw the race chart and you understood it, you were still at the bottom.
What the let me see, maybe the Talented 10 want us to not push for reparation.
There's, yeah.
And that is the only way.
The only way.
That is the only way that's going to change that narrative. People like Roland Martin want us to shut up, go along,
yeah,
and wait another 100 years.
Equity has to occur. I'm not saying equality, folks. I am saying equity, and equity on purpose. The only way to achieve equity is through repair or reparations. Another word that has become a bad word in this society because they say it's a bad word.
Only when it comes to African American, because we've done repair, redress for the Indians, for the Jews, for the Japanese, many people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Only when it comes to us.
Yeah, I think that I guess what I would really want to leave in terms of a message for everyone, for Black folks in particular, you may wear the Democrat hat, you may wear the Republican hat. And I would imagine that Frederick Douglass wore one of those two hats, probably Republican at that time. Martin Luther King probably wore one of those two hats. I'm not clear on it. I know his father was a Republican.
I think he said he was a Republican.
Well, I'm not sure, but I am sure of his father. So you may be right, because that typically what happens.
Particularly back then, if your father, whatever your father was, you were.
So we can make that assumption, and that was at a time where Democrats were the ones that were passing the civil rights laws. So I'm not surprised that his is of some question, but it wasn't the issue. It wasn't what was driving them. They were not politicians, and that's the key. They were not politicians, and they were not taking the direction from the Republican or Democrat Party. They were operating from their pain and the pain of their people. That's the direction that they were moving under. That was their motivation. And somehow we think that our direction has to come from one of the two parties. And I'm saying to you is history has never, ever functioned that way in the United States. Black people have always had to push from our ranks to get those parties to move and do right by us. And the only way that that's going to happen in this new America is for us to make that push. And don't wear a Democrat hat while you're doing it, and don't wear a Republican hat. Wear your afro for, for all I can say.
Wear an independent hat. It is sounding like 2026. Ooh, Jeanette, is going to be a stress test. It's going to be
Yeah.
stressful.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It absolutely is going to be a stress test for all of us. It's if we're fragmented, it's going to cost us.
Yes.
If black, if we're fragmented, it's going to cost us. So I have to look at you as just another black person that's interested in the forward movement of our people. Distractions, that's going to cost us as well. We have no time to attend to everybody's little narrative about whatever. And yes, the Epstein files, that is important. But for us, I don't know that that's going to move us up the hierarchy ladder if in fact those files get released. And if we wait, folks, oh, you know what? We need to wait until something happens. You can be proactive. You can be proactive. So this moment requires that we look at ourselves. It requires some introspection. It requires us to look within. Black immigrants, Black Americans, we need to look within ourselves. We need to trust each other, and it requires that we are disciplined.
So just that right there just reminds me of the Kwanzaa principal, Neil,
Mm-hmm.
working, being honest, and working towards, and who we are accountable to.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. This whole thing really, when pretty much what you were saying tonight, I just kept going back to the 7 principles of Kwanzaa:
Yep.
unity, self-determination, community,
Mm-hmm.
accountability, and I can't see that.
All right. So you've got unity, self-determination, work and responsibility. That's today.
Mhm.
Cooperative economics. That's tomorrow, actually. Purpose, certainty, and faith. Those are simple concepts, folks.
Simple concept
Mm-hmm. So,
that I think we all agree on. I don't know why we have so many divides and so many issues, but we do all, I believe, agree on that.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that we do. We do. So I guess I would like to close with we don't need to panic.
No.
We just don't need to panic. But we do need to get ready. We do need to prepare. And Roland Martin said, hey, this is your warning, folks. So the warning has been given.
Right. We don't have to panic yet, but we do need to prepare.
Yeah.
We do need, I agree, we do need to prepare.
So I think that 2026 is going to reward readiness. It's not going to reward reaction. This
like
is
that.
a reason. Yeah, it's the season to build intentionality, to trust wisely, and to move together.
So the question might be, are we ready to act on it now?
Yeah,
As
it's not optional.
It's not.
Well, it's not optional, folks. So thank you guys tonight for all the comments that we got, and we hope you did enjoy the conversation. But it's critical that we figure out how to come together. Organizations, individuals, all of us need to come together, and we cannot rely on politicians to carry the water for us. We've got to carry the water to them and make them drink. So
let me make two comments.
Okay. And just
if you
close it
want,
out.
if you want to join ADOS, you could go to www, I believe, ADOSadvocacy.com or dot. I might not need to say those. I'm going to put them in the description if I can find the correct thing, even the NAACP. But we need to build our memberships so we could know how to move together. For the people who aren't doing the research, everybody should be part of an organization so they can know how to move.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll put that information in the description.
Yes. Join something. Last week we spoke with Angela Judge about joining the bowling league. I'm saying bowling league, but it's a bowling organization.
No,
It's
it's a league, and they have Tampa have a league, Tampa St. Pete, and we have to do something fun.
They do some great work though.
They do a lot of
beyond bowling, and
they do a
it's
lot
funny.
of work in the communities.
I had heard about this league before knowing Angela through a student that I coached many, many years ago at Middleton who was an excellent bowler who was looking to go to school on scholarship. And I was like, that's bowling. Track and fields, I get it. Bowling, I don't get it. But it's join something. And when the rallying cry comes and you're a part of an organization, you will hear it and you will know how to move accordingly. And I agree. Let's try to get the links in the chat and or in the description of some organizations that people can certainly join. But guys, we are on every Sunday night and Wednesday night. We won't be on this Wednesday night. We're going to be shooting for Tuesday night to talk about the issues that are really important to us. Wednesday night is New Year's Eve. And then it's going to be 2026. Game on.
Yeah, we're going to wake up to 2026, and I'm hoping I don't feel like when I woke up to 2016, I was in a panic, and I never had a panic attack. I just didn't know what to do. It was so strange.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what I was feeling that day, but I saw a note, and we'll close out, guys, but I saw a note because I only have about a minute. I saw a note that came in my email box that the federal government is going to garner the wages of about 26 million people for student loan debt. Wages are going to be garnered effective January 1st of anyone who has student loan debt. So I'm saying to you, the systems will be working against us because generally Black or African Americans in particular, are high, use student loans at a very, very high rate.
And even that, I'm just going to always go back to the Democratic Party because the system that Biden did, even for that, didn't do enough and didn't work in the majority of our favor.
Yeah.
Student loans forgiveness.
That's true. But I'm going to say that to Black folks, you're not pushing the way that we used to push. You're not talking to the right people and then making them do what needs to be done by us. Something's missing, and we got to find that magic. We got to find that fast.
Yes. All right, everybody, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and like the page.
All right.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.